We have a guest this morning who will be joining us, General Austin Agundun, retired. He's the former theater commander, Operation Safe Haven. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so I'd like to kick off by asking your perspective on the decision by northern governors after the security meeting in Kaduna, in which they called on President Bola Tinubu to nullify mining licenses for at least 6 months, which they believe has been fueling insecurity owing to illegal mining activities. Do you share their sentiment on that matter, and do you believe that such a revocation and then auditing of these licenses is sufficient to break that source of financing that is affecting or that is fueling terrorism, banditry, and other criminal activities?
Okay, thank you very much for having me once more. Primarily, it is a great initiative for the Northern Elders and also to meet together with the traditional rulers of Northern extraction to look into where we are today and where we need to be tomorrow. The issues revolving insecurity is quite well known and it's been lingered for too many years. So if revoking the licenses is one of the areas, do not forget that they have some information that we might not be able to delve into at this hour. So if the illegal mining or unlicensed mining, artisanal mining is one of the issues that has been bedeviling or contributory factors to the insecurity that we are having in the northern Nigeria especially, then it's a wise decision because we need to collate our activities regarding the unlicensed and who are even these the miners and how professional are they in the mining activities. Are they actually going by the environmental standards expected of mining and all whatnot? There's a lot of contributory factors surrounding the illegal mining generally, and by extension we'll be able to know who are the real miners and who are those contributing to national coffers and who are those who are doing that just for illegalities.
Right. Now, just yesterday, President Bola Tinubu nominated former Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense. What are your comments on this?
In the first instance, primarily, we must understand that it is entirely the prerogative of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, to nominate officers or personnel that will serve in the federal cabinet. It's his prerogative. And one beauty of looking into the antecedents of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that capacity that he has to always look for his second 11. Okay, he has that capacity to only look for his second 11. There are always, instead, he's always reading the mood of the nation. He's always reading if you take his line of thoughts, even while as governor, which I was privileged to have followed him, his line of actions as a stakeholder, you see there is always somebody and always preparing. He is a person that I will call a transitional leader, a strategic leader who always put forth what he has, his goals, his aspirations, what he wants to achieve, and he's always looking for those who are going to help him to achieve what he has set out for at this time for the nation. So it's not out of place. And also for the former minister who honorably bowed out due to, as we have been told, ill health and all whatnot. We need somebody in the Ministry of Defense who understands the nature. We need call it a round peg in a round hole. We need somebody who understands the nature of Ministry of Defense, the components, what makes it. It's not an all-commerce affair. So it's a very great achievement in this administration. I believe very sincerely that we have been able to get somebody who knows the onions, who is a practitioner, who has led men in battle, who understand what it means to have certain number of troops, who understand exactly the functioning of the armed forces. And let's not forget, the armed forces is a very strategic arm of government. The defense sector is a very strategic arm of government. And also where you look at the growth of the nation in all other spheres. So we cannot toy with that particular sector. So we need someone who is quite vibrant, who understands the field, who can easily be able to relate with the practitioners within that sector. So it's a very welcome development.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you, and one I will take you back to the issue of the mining. Clearly, do we need, in all sincerity, do we need a 6-month suspension of the mining activities to conduct an audit in the mining sector? That's one. And 2, there's no doubt that by my own candid assessment that General Christopher Musa performed creditably well as the former Chief of Defense Staff, because we saw terrorist leaders being apprehended. But now, my understanding of the Minister of Defense role is that he's stepping into a much more political role that takes him a bit away from his military professionalism to what is exigent in terms of bringing a political re-engineering and a political leadership to fight this insecurity challenge. Do you think it would as well make a good military political leader in times like this?
Yeah, let me start with your second question because it is very essential that we understand the role of the minister is the political head. Is that the subordination of the military to civil rules starts from that the Ministry of Defense. But the minister is somebody that has the capacity of coordination of all the defense assets. You see, when we are looking at this ministry, it is not a bureaucratic office, whoever the minister is going to be. By this instance, look at other nations. We are quick to copy other nations, to make examples with other nations, but we do not practice what other nations do, other advanced nations and all. You cannot give such a sensitive ministry, such a strategic ministry in national growth, in national aspirations of where we want to be tomorrow, into some to persons who do not have the capacity to coordinate all the various assets. I want you to imagine, look at the maritime assets that we have, and look at the various classes of vessels that we have. Look at the various capacity, how those vessels can be. So if the Chief of Naval Staff is explaining situations to the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Defense quickly key into it and he understands. If you look at the assets that is at the purview of the Nigerian Air Force, so it's not an all-commerce affair. I think we have gotten this is one aspect of our national progression that is so well articulated and has been well put in place. So while he will be playing the aspect of the political leadership, he also has the capacity to play the role of the military leadership. He can as well adjust position. He can as well suggest to the service chiefs that this is the best way to go. If we are going, can you convince me this is what you want to do and how are you going to go about it? What are the assets? So even when the service chiefs are looking at their deficiencies and their equipment level and their capacity, if they are telling about the equipment capacity, he understands that primarily. He knows what it is, the role of what a general should be able to perform, what a captain should be able to perform. So he understands it's a field, it's a known field. And do not forget, to get to such a strategic rank of being a general, you have gone through several processes, several lines of trainings and experiences and exposure that you cannot just wish away. Now, on the issue of the mining license, whether the 6 months tenure is enough, is not enough. You see, we have processes. If we have gotten it wrong in the past, there is nothing that stops us from say, okay, let us redesign. Just like what is happening even in the security sector now, within the defense sector. What we are looking into now is how to redesign our security architecture. So when you get to a certain posture, certain position, that you know that things are not working, do not forget that even the mining sector is a very rich say, if we're able to harness all the ingredients surrounding the mining and who are those doing that, what comes to the government coffers or whatnot, it's going to be better off for the nation. Now, let us take the new tax law that will come into effect sooner than later by January. Do not forget that it has taken 6 months to sensitize the nation that a new tax system is coming in, whereby government is looking to avenues and areas where they want to see how they are going to garner enough resources for the advancement of the nation to the next level. So 6 months is not too much a time, as long as we get our thoughts and our actions right.
So one more thought on illegal mining. Reports suggest that those involved in big-time illegal mining activities are big guns locally and internationally. You have reports of, planes, landing in Nigeria and moving out resources. Do you believe the president has the resolve that he will take to break that cycle?
Absolutely, and perhaps that is the reason for this 6 months re-engineering, if you like, of the mining sector, to know who is doing what and what is coming into. Has there been a good, have we been able to harness all the proceeds from the mining sector into government coffers? That is it. Again, we are too quick to.
So this is including arresting and prosecuting those involved, because that's what it would take. It's a total package. It's a total package, and look at even the petroleum sector equally. And when Mr. President came in and said the subsidy is gone, we know all those stories. It took a lot of effort for that to come into being. But the main issue there is how to harness all the ingredients. You see, we have a lot of loose ends in every sector of our national life. And any aspect, any study, any act that is going to help us to harness every bit of what is for the common good of the totality of the citizens, I think it's a welcome development.
So there has been this push for national overhaul and the possible creation of state policing. From your assessment of the risk and the benefits, what would you say to this plea and push from many about there being a creation of state police?
We have to learn how to stop some rhetorics, speaking to paper. We can make examples, again, if we do not carry out a careful study of how to go about the state police, we still go back to the same troubles that we find ourselves today. Look at the National Security, Civil and Defense Corps. It was meant to bridge the gap of policing, so that their responsibility, the wider responsibility of the police will go to the other. But up to today, we know that there are some aspect of so creating multiple agencies might not be the total problem. We must have prioritized what are we going to do in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term, for us to harness the totality of the collectives that help us to grow as a nation. So we should not dabble into it immediately. Let us look at the fault lines currently that we have with the current policing system. Are you talking about their training level, the retraining levels? Because most of this, what we have even in the police force generally, unless I'm proving otherwise, is that after the training at the entry point, I do not see the larger percentage of them going into other further trainings to grow capacity and to grow expertise, unlike what we have in the armed forces. In the armed forces, at every stage of your life, at every rank, there are prerequisites before you can get to the next rank. So let us look at how the police is presently as it is formed, and let them go in the short term. Then in the medium term, we can be thinking about creating the state police and create the sensitization that is required. Even their mindset and all whatnot need to be, they are supposed to be, we should be looking at a general reorientation of what the police is actually doing now. The present crop of policemen that we have, are they actually working to terms? Now,
okay.
So creating state police is not just that today is a magic wand. Today you have the number of policemen that you want, and then all our troubles are gone.
Okay, let me take the departure for the next question on this line, that in a culture of impunity, when there is a demand for accountability, it seems more like an attack. Now, we'll use this to set up the task before the presumed next Minister of Defense. People believe that we can't win this war against insecurity using the current defense architecture. So some are calling for an expansion of the current defense architecture and a re-engineering of a current defense architecture, and the need for a timeline. So precisely now, setting the agenda for the next Minister of Defense, what should be the timeline and what should be the key performance index?
This is a very interesting line of question, a line of conversation, because I know Nigerians are eager for results. We want results like as at yesterday.
Indeed.
Yeah, but you should know that for us in the generalship status, we are always quick to work for results. We are result oriented. We have target. We set out a general has substance and he has style. So the Minister of Defense understands it's a field that is very known. No, do not forget that as Chief of Defense Staff, you must have also been interacting with the former minister on certain areas whereby you can develop the armed forces. Now the bulk is on his table. For instance, we have carried out a lot of studies and a lot of committee work and whatnot, how to better our services, especially. So I believe very sincerely that he knows his onions and he's going to hit the ground running.
Right. So the armed forces has faced quite a number of problems, from lack of adequate funding to paucity of equipment, weapons. And there has been this push for the manufacturing of weapons in Nigeria. I'd like you to speak to that and how significant you think that will be. You are from the military. What do you know about that?
Yeah, you know, we have our Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria. It's a federal government institution that has its mission and an objective, and they have been doing pretty well. You see, what we do not understand, or we try to run away from in our national calculation, is that manufacturing of arms is not a one-nation thing. There are certain levels to which you'll be allowed to manufacture, certain levels of and then do not forget that even when we do manufacture it, they have serial number that is internationally recognized. You don't just wake up one day and start manufacturing. So we need to go through all the necessary international protocols, which I know is being done. And this is a field too. Incidentally, the Defense Industry Corporation was one of the institutions under the current Minister of Defense when he was Chief of Defense Staff, because he had supervisory role over it. So he knows all these things. So whatever that is going to be done for us to produce our own levels of ammunition for our own local consumption, the processes are there. Even to the extent to which we can produce and even export to other neighboring countries within West Africa, the processes are there. But for government is also working to upgrade the facilities within the Defense Industry Corporation, and I'm sure that in due time that we'll have the capacity that we so desire in order to meet our arms requirement. But when you get to certain categories of weaponization, you know, it is out of our purview. That is where we always go shopping. And do not forget that arms are not off-the-shelf purchases. So when you place order, it goes through a series of processes before even manufacturing and all those things. So at certain instances, the process might get a hitch. And that's why we must be able to tell we must be patriotic enough in our utterances. Because some of the utterances that go out there affect certain segments of national growth that we might not be able to know the damages we are causing in the immediate. So if we can harness all our potentials, if we can harness all our capacity or whatnot towards those aspirations that have been set before us, I believe very sincerely that the Nigeria that we are looking towards will be able to attain.
Now, still drawing from your experience, do you think that existing command and control and theater level structures still fit for today's complex threats?
In fact, that's a very beautiful question to ask. And indeed, a lot of things, if you recall that even Mr. President had talked about a surge in our staff strength or whatnot. A lot of committee work is going on. We need a total redesign of our security architecture. If you like, security sector reform, to see how we are going to harness all our potentials together. And do not forget, it also competes for the scarce resources or whatnot. But you can be sure that within the security, it's a very, very question
Okay.
line of conversation. And I believe very sincerely that
unfortunately, we are just pressed for time, and thank you so much, Major General Austin Agundun, former Theater Commander, Operation Safe Havens, and also current defense consultant. Thank you very much indeed for making our time and setting the agenda before the next Minister of Defense. We wish him the very best of luck, and thank you very much indeed.